In this video, we will go through some of the basic concepts of Enterspeed. So Enterspeed is an integration layer or speed layer, as we would like to call it. So you can use Enterspeed for many different things. One of the things would be if you want to separate the backend from your frontend, or just in general make your solution more compliant with the MEC principles. It also works very well if you want to go for a Jamstack setup where you can use Enterspeed as the API. So in Enterspeed, we have 3 steps that you need to go through when you're working with Enterspeed. The 3 steps that we have in the middle. So the first thing would be the ingest. So you can ingest your data into Enterspeed, and you can ingest data from multiple sources if you want to. The second step would be the transform. That's where we map the source entities to the view, and you can even merge data from multiple sources into a single view. You can also, if you have a very large entity, with lots of properties and you only need a small subset of that in the front end, you can just map the properties that you actually need in the front end. And that will, of course, make the download side smaller and more fast as well. The third step is our delivery API, where you fetch the data on the generated views that you want for the front end. So here we are in Enterspeed. And let's try to go through the 3 steps with the ingest, the mapping, and the delivery. So first off, let's have a look at source entities. We see that we have no source entities. So let's jump into Postman. Here I have prepared a small JSON snippet with 3 properties. Also, if we look at the last part here, that would be the ID of my source entity. It's just a string representation, so it doesn't have to be a number like in this case. Also, I have some custom headers. One of them would be the Enterspeed type that was set to type post because it's a blog post. I also have the URL set to /post. So let's try to ingest the post like this. If we go into Enterspeed and reload, we can now see that we have our source entity with the properties that we defined. So that would be step 1. If we go to step 2, it's the schemas. That's what we use to mapping. So let's create a new schema called a post. Down here I can select the source. In this case, I have created a source called Postman and click create. This will just create a sample schema for us, so it's easy to getting started. So first off, we have the triggers, and that's set to Postman. That will be our source, and it has an array of types, and in this case I map the post. So this means that every time we ingest a source entity of type post in our Postman source, this schema will be triggered. The second part would be the route. Right now we have a handle called myHandle. Handles are used to fetch generic data. That could be a footer, it could be the navigation or dictionary items, things that you use across multiple pages on your websites typically. Another route that we have could be the URL. That's typically what you use for pages in your CMS. So in this case, we simply just map it to the URL of the source entity. The last part is the properties. Right now, the schema is just created with the wildcard. So this means that all properties from the source entity will be mapped to the view one-to-one. I could also add my own mapping here. Say I want a headline, and the headline should be equal to p for properties dot title, like this. Okay, let's save the schema and deploy it to the development environment. Now the schema has been deployed and the processing is starting in the background. So if we go to generated views, select the development environment, we can now see our generated view here with the mapping that we did. Also here we can see that you can fetch this view from the URL with /post or with the handle of my-handle. So if we jump into Postman once again, here we have the delivery API. So let's try to fetch the view with the URL/post. So we see, let's just move down here. So we see that we get the view with all the properties. And I could also add the handle. In this case, it doesn't make sense to fetch the same view from both the URL or handle, but just to show. So if we click again, so we see here that we get our properties from the URL, and down here in the views, we also get it from the my handle. We also get all the properties. So that was step 1, 2, 3. And of course, this isn't just to show off. It's not much fun if you have editors working in a CMS. And because of that, of course, we have built a set of integrations for various systems like Umbraco and Sitecore. And all our source integrations are open source, so you can help us improve the integrations. You can even build your own, or you can just clone or fork one of our integrations if you want to customize it to your needs. So I hope this gave you an idea of how the basic of Enterspeed is working, and feel free to sign up and try it out.